Welcome to Driving Leadership. Today's a crisp, beautiful, bright, cold day here in Syracuse, and we're at the Samaritan Center. Come on in. We're at the Samaritan Center where nobody goes hungry. Their mission is all about dignity and respect. It's an amazing space, but we're going to have a conversation today with Mary Beth Frey, the executive director. She's an energetic, positive, beautiful human being, and well, we're going to learn a lot about leadership from her today. And this space is amazing. It's an old church, and well, we're just going to have a great time, great conversation. Come on, let's go. So why here? This is such a beautiful location, but tell me the story on
this space.
How you got to this beautiful space.
So Samaritan Center's been around for like 42 years now.
Wow.
About 34 of those were in the basement of St. Paul's Church down on Fayette and Montgomery.
Okay.
We were in the basement of that space.
Okay.
We were grateful to be there. I mean, it was a beauty, and it served us so well.
Of course.
But the need in the community just kept growing, and the space couldn't accommodate the numbers we needed to serve. It was in the basement, so it wasn't accessible.
So you outgrew it.
It wasn't heated. It wasn't, all that stuff made it very, very hard.
Sure.
So the board really, as part of their strategic planning, thought about, mission as always. How do we make sure we're serving with respect and dignity? And it was getting difficult to do that there.
And those values of respect and dignity are central in your mission.
Fundamental to who we are. I mean, every decision we make is kind of foundational to what's the impact on the guests, right? So that's a great thing to do. What does it mean for our guests? So that's always the overlay.
Yes.
In board meetings and every decision that we try to make, there's this, I'm getting off your topic, but there's
this is perfect.
There's this weird balance of efficiency and program and people, right?
Right.
And you can be really super efficient and lose the heart of it, right? So whenever there's that conflict, the default is always people, right? Because who cares about the efficiency if the people lose somehow?
Yeah.
So in looking for a space, that was fundamental as well, right? Like, how do we find a space that allows us to still be human, right? And when we were needing to look at larger spaces can feel cold and can feel impersonal. So what do we do to make sure that people still feel loved and cared for and hugged and accepted and seen?
Really feel like a guest.
Feel like a guest, right? In a new home,
right?
When they walk into the space. So did a lot of hunting, searching. Thought we'd found a place that we loved, but the variables didn't cooperate, is what we kind of like to say.
Okay, that's cool.
But as life would have it, right? As that space went away, this beautiful space became available. We had looked at it before, and it hadn't been available. So it was this really weird. Within a month, this became available. It opened up. We walked through, and the architect, who was the president of the board at the time, donated all his services.
Wow.
But he walked in and said, I know how to set this up. I know what this should look like. And it was an immediate, this is the place. And we all, to a person, felt that way.
That's amazing.
Because there's love in this place, right? There's history and there's service and there's an anchoring that just feels strong for people that are not feeling so strong.
Yeah. How did you get into this? How is this your walk of life? How is this your leadership?
I don't know.
You don't know? Actually, that's a really good answer.
Things happen, right? You find your way to different places, and they resonate with your heart, right? And this place resonated with my heart. My background was in mental health, so I did a lot of direct service in inpatient units and outpatient and group homes and all kinds of things. And I think for me, my transition points have always been, there's something more I want to do, or there's something I think I can add to this that in my capacity now I can't. So what's my next step in order to do that? When I was talking to people about, coming to the Samaritan Center, they were like, that's backwards, Everybody does direct service and then admin. I'm like, no, I don't want, I want.
You're climbing the ladder in the wrong direction, Mary Beth.
Where are you going? But this allows me to do both. It allows me to do the administrative supervision, management stuff, but then I get to every day be with people who need somebody to see them, who who need someone to show up that cares about them, even on their worst day. And when they make the worst decision, you're still there to say, all right, that didn't work. What are we going to do now? We're not leaving you. What do we do now? So we try to bring that accessibility here. But I think to get back to your point about relationships, it's so organic here. Like the guests are helping people as much as we are, or as the volunteers are. We had a vet we were working with, trying to get them to connect in with services, trying to get them to see that there were things out there to support them. Didn't want to hear it from us, didn't want to hear it till they had breakfast across from another vet. And that vet said, I'll take you down to see my caseworker and we'll go together. He said, all right, we'll go.
Wow.
And that's what did it. And this place just creates that place of safety, right? That lets you ask hard questions and say hard things and try to connect.
What do you do for yourself in your leadership? Maybe I can ask in your life to stay energized.
There are definitely hard days, right? There are days when you go home and you're like, I don't know, like this was just bad. But then there's the things you hold on to are the differences you make. And sometimes they're huge and sometimes they're tiny. Like this morning, there was a woman, struggles with some mental health stuff. We've connected a little bit. I've gotten her some coats and she said, I'm staying at the mission. I've done some housing applications. I'm starting to put some things together. But what keeps me going is being able to come here and to be in a space of love.
Wow.
And this gives me strength to do all the other things I have to do.
Wow.
And she gives me strength to do all the other things that I have to do.
So you get energized by these people, their experiences. You get energized by that. What else?
I find therapy and nurturing in the outdoors.
Awesome.
So whenever I can be outside hiking or snowshoeing or up on Lake Ontario.
Energizing there for you.
Yeah, that's healing to me, and that lets me kind of forget things.
That gets you physical, probably somewhat spiritual for you out there in the world, right? There's
that's important to me.
Plugging into that. What do you do to recommit?
I think I just see what's the next missing thing that I can. What's the next thing? And there's so many things. And I am certain retire before all the things that need to be done will be done. Sure.
You'll be part of the legacy here, but you'll leave it to someone else.
There's always been, and then COVID happens, right? So that eats up 3 years, and there's all those.
Well, that was a different challenge set up for you.
But that
Excuse me.
Pivots are good, right? Pivots help you think about what can be different and maybe should be different. How do I adapt and adjust? And I love that sort of, how do I figure this out?
Okay.
And I think it forces you to change leadership in a lot of ways, right? Like we went from, I like to think I'm a very collaborative, engaging, what do we think about? And COVID came and we didn't have room for that. It was like, we got to do this to protect people. You got to do that and it was very directive.
There were forcing functions that.
And that was an interesting time to sort of navigate through because the impact of that shift is really difficult. For everyone, whether it's a volunteer, a staff, or your own self, trying to shift gears to make sure that you could still serve people but keep people safe and manage the fear and anxiety that came with that whole period. I have a quote, and I change them all the time, but the one I've had on my desk for a very long time is, if it's important to you, you find a way.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of it. You know what I mean? You find a way and you figure it out.
Love it.
And you try to take care of people in the route, right?
Awesome.
So I just keep finding challenges.
So should we look around maybe a little bit?
Sure.
Can we walk around?
Sure.
Awesome. So 180. You can
seats 180
guests you can serve. Okay, and 2 servings a day?
Yeah, we do breakfast Monday through Friday, an afternoon meal 365 days a year.
Wow. Okay.
So about 120,000 meals a year we're serving currently.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty incredible.
And you were saying there's a little bit of like a seasonality through the month. It's like it's a little slow at the beginning of the month and then very full at the end of the month.
Picks up at the end. Yeah. So in the beginning, people have more resources. They have their SNAP benefits or food stamps. They have other resources that have come in.
Sure.
And they're kind of making their way through. Those resources typically last about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the last 2 weeks of the month.
So the month is almost split in half.
Almost split in half. They need to rely on us more and more.
You see more guests come through the door at the end of, near the end of the month.
Yeah, so you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your utility. All those things come due at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And food is where your budget unfortunately can wiggle a little bit, right?
Yeah.
If I don't pay my heating bill, I freeze to death. If I don't buy food, I'm be hungry.
Sure.
But maybe I can rely on the Samaritan Center, and then they come down
So this might get me through.
Make it work.
That's awesome.
So we bought it 10 years ago now.
Okay.
And that was important to us to have a stake in the community, right?
Sure.
It's not a rental thing. We own this piece of property and are legitimate pieces of this neighborhood.
Wow.
So we purchased it. We ran a capital campaign, no debt. We got that off our bucks. So it went incredibly well. And what was beautiful about it is as we were kind of making the sell to, Bon Shenik and whoever, KeyBank. It wasn't hard because those folks had already volunteered with us in the old space. And they said, this is a gift that we should give.
That's beautiful.
The community needs this. So it was really wonderful to run this capital campaign and get everybody on board. But it was neat kind of to go back to that guest thing. We involved the guests as much as we could in that move as well. And in the old space, we were in the basement. So we say, hey, we want you to, we're thinking about moving over to St. John the Evangelist. And well, what's the basement like there? We were like, oh no basement for you.
Wow.
So it was beautiful and sad at the same time, right? That they, all right, give us another basement, wherever you got to do it. Like, no, this is a community gift to you. And you can feel the love and the history and all of that. But this was where the communion rail used to be.
Okay.
And then the kitchen is where the altar used to be. So
so could you show us around?
Yeah, sure. I'll show you into the kitchen.
Yeah, thank you.
So the dish room, we serve on china plates and with real silverware and ceramic mugs and all that stuff.
Don't want to be in the way, sorry.
Because that's a bit of dignity too, right?
Absolutely.
Versus styrofoam and plastic and all those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
But we were here 2 weeks before we realized John the Baptist was washing feet right up above where we wash pots and pans. There's like all these neat parallels that happen.
There are. It's like the space was actually made for this.
Made for it.
Really designed for it and made for it.
And the diocese was really glad to sell it to us because it was still mission work.
Of course.
You know what I mean? There was some neat ideas about a rock climbing school and some other things that people had approached.
The height of the ceilings would do.
Had approached them for, but they were really happy that it could still be an anchor for the neighborhood and a place where people could
doing that mission work.
This is Shango Osborne. So he's the guy that stands outside when it's 100 degrees or when it's minus 20.
Wow.
And knows everybody that comes through and makes sure they feel loved. And
see that first smiling face they get to see.
Maybe.
Keep it real, man. Like keep it real.
I mean, I try to make sure I greet everybody. And kind of make sure that they at least starting their mornings off good with a good, hey, how you doing? Good morning. For a lot of people, they need that. Just to hear that part right there, that sometimes that gets them in a good place.
Just to be seen, right? Just to be greeted. Absolutely.
Just to be heard. And then sometimes that gets into a whole nother conversation with someone. Just knowing some of the typicals of how people are when you get to greet them and make sure they get a nice warmth of a greeting coming into the building.
Beautiful.
It goes a long way, but I'll be outside. I deal with a lot of the elements of it. I want to say with greeting a lot of them, meeting a lot of them initially as they keep coming every day, that just helps you build a relationship. Sometimes that you don't even know that you have.
Of course.
Build with people. Now, like she said, now they're looking for you to talk to you sometimes about certain things. And a lot of times, and I learned this myself, a lot of times people don't want another opinion. They just want to hear.
That's right.
They just want somebody just to listen.
That's right.
And I mean, honestly, that's what I'm there for. Like, I'm here to listen. Let me listen to it. And if I can give you some type of opinion or give you a different solution, maybe, I'll probably throw it out there, but you don't have to take it. But
that's beautiful.
For the most part, like that, I get that a lot too. I mean, I call myself a psychiatrist sometimes, just like I'm training. And I mean, for the more, I want to say I help a lot. And,
you're everybody's brother, Shango.
But everybody's a brother, at the same time too. But it's all about the bigger mission, the bigger picture of things. Making sure everybody has a safe environment to eat at. Making sure everybody gets a good meal to eat. Twice a day. coming into the warmth and just knowing that we're more here than just a food.
Yeah.
We're a family. We want to treat you like family. We want to show you love. We want to show you warmth. We want to show you that we care about whatever your problems is and whatever your situation is. Whatever we can help you with, we're going to help you.
That's beautiful. Awesome to meet you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.
And sometimes it's not even like having a solution. It's just walking with somebody, right?
Isn't that leadership? I think so many leaders, gonna sound negative here, get it wrong. They think they have to have all the answers. They think they have to have all the solutions.
Yeah.
It's often just being there. Maybe it's asking a few questions. Giving someone the space to figure it out on their own is often even better, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and if they figure it out on their own, isn't that awesome, right? And then
they're probably more bought into the solution, right?
Their confidence is improved.
Everything, right?
Yep,
that's the
everything.
real learning opportunity for them.
Yeah, and then I learn stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody still grows and everybody's still learning all along. We're all works in progress.
Yeah, we are. That's awesome.
Yeah. So a couple of our volunteers and donors, the Manions, do you know them? Gwen and Patrick Manion?
Yes.
They commissioned these 2 canvases.
Wow.
And they actually just got hung yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, beautiful.
It's just so pretty. But for him, right, it's this idea of you come to give, but you get at the same time, right? There's this beautiful, overused word, synergy thing that happens that just brings people together and everybody's better for it, right?
Absolutely. Mary Beth, thank you.
Thank you.
Really.
I hope it was okay.
Better than okay. I love getting to know you more and the organization. Truly, thank you.